So today we're going to be talking about the amortization of fixed capital. In this situation, we're going to be writing an amortization plan with fixed payment to capital. So this question says, the bank gives a client a $15,000 loan to buy a car on a 5-year term with annual payments at an interest rate of 8% annually. What is the amortization plan with a fixed payment to capital? Okay, so translation, what does any of this mean? Basically, right now, today, the bank is going to give this client $15,000 right now. That client is going to use that $15,000 to go buy a car with. And then the client is going to owe the bank $15,000 back. And they're going to make one payment per year in order to pay off that loan. And because it's fixed payment to capital, that means that every payment that they make, they're going to be paying they're going to be paying off 1/5 of the overall loan value. And also, we know that since there's an interest rate here, as there always is going to be whenever we take out a loan for something, that means that overall the payments are going to add up to more than $15,000 to pay off this loan because there is interest involved in taking out this loan as well. All right, so let's write down first of all, what do we know here? We know that the loan amount is $15,000. We know that the term is 5 years because they're going to be making one payment every year for 5 years. So 5 years is the answer. Then we have the interest rate, which is 8% annually. And then we have amortization, which is also annual, right? They're going to be making an annual payment at an annual interest rate. So now I'm going to start preparing the amortization plan with a fixed payment to capital. So I'm going to write down the number of years, the loan balance during each year, the capital, the interest, and the capital plus interest in the last column. And I'm just going to draw some lines here to make a decently nice chart, hopefully. Okay, then for our number of years, we have 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years. And then we have our capital. We know it's going to be the same amount of capital that we're paying off each time because it says that the amortization plan must have fixed payment to capital. So therefore, every year, we're going to pay off the same amount of capital. So 15,000 divided by 5, since there's 5 years, is $3,000. So that means in year 1, we're going to pay off $3,000 of capital. In year 2, $3,000 of capital, and so on. Every year, we're paying off $3,000 in capital. So there we go. You also know that in year 1, the loan balance is $15,000. Then in the second year, since we've already paid off $3,000, we only have a $12,000 balance. Then we have a 3 less than that is 9,000. 3 less than that is 6,000. And then we have 3,000. And then after that, if we were to continue writing, we would have 0. I'm not going to continue, but we would have 0 after we make that last payment there. Then we need to fill in the interest column. So how do we figure out the interest? Well, we have to take the loan balance and multiply that by 8%. So the loan balance in the first year is $15,000. So 15,000 times 0.08 is going to give me $1,200. So therefore, the interest on that first payment is $1,200. And then therefore the capital plus interest, so the amount we actually would have to pay for that first payment in year 1 is going to be $3,000 plus $1,200, which is $4,200. Okay, for the next one, we still are paying off the same amount of capital. We're paying off $3,000, but this time we only start with a balance of $12,000 because the first year we already paid off the first $3,000. So now we just have to do for the interest $12,000 times 0.08 or times 8%. And now the interest we pay the second year is only $960. So the second payment is only $3,960. Okay, how about in year three? In year three, we only have a balance of $9,000. So 9,000 times 8% is 720. So now it's only $3,720. Then in the next year, we only have a balance of $6,000. So 6,000 times 8% is $480. So the payment we have to make is $3,480. And then for our final payment, we actually only have $3,000 balance left. So we just have to pay that plus the interest on that specifically, which 3,000 times 8% is $240. So the payment for the last one is only $3,240. So basically the payments are not all the same. The payments start out higher, but every time we make a payment, we are paying off the same amount of the capital, right? And that's why it says specifically fixed payment to capital rather than fixed overall payment that includes capital and interest. And we'll talk about how to do that later because I do think in practice that's actually more common. When you get a fixed mortgage, generally that means that you're going to pay the same amount each time, right? And so therefore the first payments are going to have a lot more interest, while the later payments will be mostly paying off capital and paying very little interest. Because if we're going to be paying the same amount of capital off every single time that we make a payment, then the interest is going to be higher in the beginning because we're paying interest on the entire loan balance, right? Not just for the part of the loan that we are deciding that we're going to be paying off today. Okay, so some final things I'm going to add up. 3,000 times 5 is just 15,000, which makes sense. The overall capital would be 15,000. The total amount of interest paid in the loan is 1,200 plus 960 plus 720 plus 480 plus 240. So that is a total of $3,600. And so therefore this last one should add up, if we were to add up the capital plus interest column, that should add up to $18,600 because that should be the same as the capital plus the interest each time. And in this case, it does. So overall, after 5 years, a total of $18,600 was paid. The $15,000 loan is fully paid off, and this client now owns the car in full. As always, if there's any questions, please feel free to leave those in the comment section, and we'll see you for the next one.